Hi, this video looks at migration. So we are looking at opportunities and threats in the social environment as a result of demographic changes, and specifically we need to know about the opportunities and threats that may be result from changes in migration patterns. So a few key terms for you to be aware of. Number one is migration. That's the movement of people from one location to another, with the location of settling, at least in the short term, often with the intention of finding work. And that's called economic migration, when people move for work reasons. And there are, of course, humanitarian reasons that people might want to move, famine and war and so on. But there's a few other key terms that you need to be aware of as well. So we get internal migration, which occurs within a country. So in the UK, it tends to be people moving from areas of relatively low employment or low job opportunities, like young people maybe moving from Cornwall or the northeast to the southeast, around the London area, where there tends to be more work and higher wages. So that's internal migration. External migration occurs between countries internationally. Emigration, beginning with an E, is people leaving a country. Now, of course, this presents all sorts of opportunities and threats for businesses. It tends to be the young who emigrate looking for work. It tends to be those people who, have got a bit of entrepreneurial kind of pizzazz, who want to get out there and earn some money leaving, and that creates both opportunities and threats for businesses in those countries. Immigration refers to inward migration, i.e. people coming in to the new country, and net migration is the difference between people coming in and the people going out. So how many people came in, how many people went out. If we've got a net migration figure that is positive, therefore more people have come in than left, and if our net migration figure is negative, we've had more people leave than come in. I'm recording this early September 2017. Here's a news article from The Guardian in August 2017, showing that UK net migration drops to its lowest level for 3 years. In other words, there's still more people coming into the country than leaving, but that figure is at the moment on a downward trend. Various reasons for that. The impact of having a weak pound means that it's relatively less rewarding for people to come and work. If there's a weak pound, people don't get as much money in their own currency as they used to. Other impacts about Brexit that's created uncertainty about the future of EU nationals in the UK, and just the message that Brexit sends about how welcome people will be to work in the UK. Immigration and emigration are going to create threats and opportunities. It's important that you can kind of think through that in an exam. If there's some, they give you some data on immigration figures, net migration figures, whatever, it's important that you have some ideas about the opportunities and threats that might create for businesses. So, I'll just go through these fairly quickly. Obviously, so I'm talking about inward migration in this situation, immigration. So when there's people coming into the country, it can help businesses to fill skills gaps that maybe they can fill before. It reduces pressure on wages. If there's a greater supply of labour, there's less pressure on businesses to try and recruit people by offering higher wages. So that's good news for businesses, arguably worse news for workers, and that perceived impact on wages was actually a key reason that many people voted to leave the EU. Foreign workers or workers from abroad might bring new ideas to businesses, so create innovation. Businesses that tend to have a diverse workforce that reflect the nature of the population tend to do better than businesses that don't have a diverse workforce. Public services, many migrants come over and work in public services, caring for old people, working in the NHS. So that creates better public services, healthier population, and therefore people go on consuming for longer. It reduces the average age of the workforce, which can be good and bad news for businesses. Maybe younger workers require more training potentially, but at lower wages, and maybe they work for you for longer. They're going to be obviously, if more people are moving to the local area, it increases the size of the local market and creates market for new businesses or new product ranges, because people from overseas might demand different products, foodstuffs, financial advice, communication with home. All of these kind of products might be required and therefore present opportunities. However, we're going to need to train new workers. There may be language and cultural barriers. If you're employing someone from abroad who's not worked in the UK before, you may need to teach them fairly basic things about how people like to be greeted in the UK, etc., which is time consuming and can be expensive. There's arguably an impact on customer service, although I have to say I've never experienced poor customer service as a result of where someone's from, but some people perceive people from abroad offer poor customer service, but it's not necessarily an argument I buy. Depression of wages in local area. So of course if wages, if there's a huge sort of pool of labour, it's good for businesses in terms of recruitment because it tends to keep wages down, but if that reduces incomes in the local area, maybe there's fewer opportunities to sell to people in that market. And there's an argument that immigration tends to put pressure on public services as well, school places, etc. So, some opportunities and threats there as a result of immigration.